Hello, I'm Dan West from the Livonia Chamber of Commerce. Since their latest cyber edition of CityScape, a regular series of video chats about people, places, and ideas that impact Livonia. Today, we're going to run some excerpts from our Connecting Cultures webinar last week, which featured a constructive conversation about race that we had with Jeremiah Belton, a PNC branch manager, Livonia City Football Club soccer coach, father of four, and a member of the Livonia Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Here are some excerpts from that conversation. Jeremiah, as you became a teenager and started driving, was there distinctive advice your parents and your family gave you because of your race?
Absolutely. And that's probably the biggest difference, or when I talk with my Black friends compared to white friends, when we talk about what those conversations were. Absolutely. So for myself, kind of early on, it was obviously obey traffic laws and signals, and make sure that you're adhering to the guidelines there. But my mom would always kind of reiterate every time leaving, know where my insurance was, have it readily accessible, make sure that my driver's license was on me always. And again, it was make sure that if you're pulled over, try to remain as calm as you can, but also make sure that you would wait and not move or not do anything until the police came to you, and then you could kind of explain, hey, here's where insurance is, here's where my driver's license is, can I get them, can I reach, watch me get them. So the conversation though, in a lot, especially in light of recent events with friends of mine, really a distinct difference in growing up on what, again, the conversations that my white friends had compared to my Black friends, where all of us can tell you a story or share, hey, this is the expectation, or where our parents kind of, would allude to, hey, you need to make sure you have this, not just for, just having them is they're obviously required, but for your safety to have those. So definitely a distinct difference in conversations that would occur, as a teenage driver.
Jeremiah, in your work, have you felt like somebody was uncomfortable with you because of your skin color? Describe what that was like, and how did you handle it?
Absolutely. The other unfortunate reality is, yes, there's been several instances. There's been a couple where, whether have applied for something and, kind of on the back end, somebody saying, hey, you were the best person for this, just, couldn't go that direction, or we had to go a different direction. So those have occurred. But I think the biggest one is again, when I started banking just about 13 years ago now, was able to kind of quickly move through the ranks from a banker up to a manager, and managed an office in a very affluent community. And I had one of my tellers, who's also another Black man, he would always kind of chuckle. And the reason he would chuckle is a lot of times what would happen is folks would come in, again, this is down in Florida, so a more retirement community. So, and nothing wrong there, but just I think folks were expecting, or again, assuming the manager would maybe have a different look. So there was a couple times where people would come in and they would ask, and hey, I want to speak to the manager. Dan, and I'll share with you, I'm not necessarily a jacket guy, so like today's a jacket day. Generally, I'd have the tie on, have my shirt on, but again, down in Florida, it's pretty hot. So wearing the jacket, appointments or things like that, but just in the office, I wouldn't. So, we had a little kind of a welcoming area, and I know, hey, what can I help you with? And there's a time where a couple came in and, asked to speak to the manager. And I said, okay, what can I assist? And it was, no, we need the manager. And I go, well, I'm the manager. And then the comment was, well, the other manager. So going back to how you handle it, I go, one moment, let me go get them for you. So went back to the office, put my jacket on to make myself more managerial, Dan, but then came back out and goes, okay, I'm the manager. Can I help you now? And I think for both of them, the look, both, very, very beet red. So we're embarrassed. And through the conversation, they kind of shared, we're sorry, we're this. But, for me, it's always been just my personality is, see, I do enjoy a little comedic humor there. But I think the biggest piece for me is, and just like we're having this conversation, I'm more than happy to help, whether make people aware or have conversations or really change people's assumptions. One of the things, and I should have touched on earlier, but one of the things that my dad did tell me as younger is, if you're the only Black person, or the only person of color that somebody may meet, how would you leave them, or how would they, view people of color or Black people in general, based on the interaction with you. So for me, it's always been important to, again, try to remain as composed as possible, even when I'm, again, very frustrated or infuriated or clearly know that I'm being judged for not the content of my character, but for the color of my skin. But for me, it was in that instance, that jacket, that moment, and I tell people, look, I accept your apology. Just know I've worked very hard to get here, but I'm here to help, and I want to be helping, and I don't want it to be just because I'm, the time younger or Black that I can't assist you, or I can't be considered for certain roles based on that. So that's kind of the generally way I approach it in instances like that.
That couple, after they shook off the initial embarrassment and red face and stuff like that, were you able to have a productive conversation with them after that?
Oh, absolutely. They actually became one of my best clients there. Unfortunately, they both have passed since. But it was one of those things where it was that moment for them, and it was like that aha moment. But from them, they'd go out of their way to make sure they said hi every time they were in. They did have, when their grandchildren would come, they brought them in to introduce me. So it was that opportunity where I feel like, hey, it was, again, while yes, I was very upset, I think the difference was made, and hopefully for me, it was helping them change their, like this conversation now, changing their perceptions or assumptions. And it seemed like it did make some differences, like I said, as they would bring their family in who would visit from out of state, and made sure that I knew everybody. And even when the wife unfortunately passed first, there was some monies that I needed to help their children divide, and they all came in and sat with me before moving to their financial advisor. So I think it was, looking back, an opportunity where I think a difference was made, and it could have been me just being upset or, letting the company know and saying, hey, we need to get rid of these people. But, for me, it's like, hey, I'd rather educate and really work together moving forward than alienate and be different.
Thank everybody for participating in that. Again, it goes back to Jeremiah's point a few minutes ago, asking questions at the beginning of learning. And hopefully we took some steps towards learning today to better engage all humanity, and just look at people for being human and connecting with people for being human, and not just because the color of their skin or something like that, just because we're all human, we're all in this together, and not to make assumptions about people because of that. So Jeremiah, before we sign off, any closing thoughts you want to make today?
Absolutely. Again, I just very appreciative of the opportunity. I want to say thank you for those who took the time to join in. Definitely would love to hear and hear from you, or those who may have further questions, would like to sit down and talk and learn more as well. Absolutely up for that. But I think for me, the biggest takeaway, and what I want to leave everyone with is, again, if we're asking questions for more learning, we're going to find out that we have more in common than we do different. And I think once we find out that we are more common, we will achieve the American dream, which ends in liberty and justice for all. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity. Dan, thank you again.